I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. Chris, could you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Detzel?
Here.
Mr. Harlow?
Here.
Mr. Heather?
Here.
Mr. Engel?
Here.
Mr. Detzel?
Here.
Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everyone has received a copy of the meeting minutes from February 27th. Could I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and second. Are there any additions or corrections? Okay, Chris, could you call the roll, please? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, Stephanie?
You have something?
Oh. Okay, I would like to introduce Casey Schurz, Northwest Local The Northwest Local School District would like to welcome Casey Schurz as the principal of Pleasant Run Elementary School. Casey has been an administrator in the Northwest Local School District for the past 5 years as an assistant principal at Northwest High School. Prior to administration, Casey was also a teacher and an administrative assistant for the Northwest Local School District. After graduating from Colerain High School, yay, hometown boy, Casey earned a bachelor's degree in health and physical education at Ashland University and his master's degree in educational leadership from the University of Cincinnati. Casey is supported by his wife Jill and his 2 children, Caden and Peyton. Please join me in welcoming Casey to his new role. Casey, would you stand up? We have another introduction. We have another introduction, but he is not with us at this point, so we will have him stand up when he walks in the door so that you can meet him as well. But the Northwest Local School District would like to welcome Eric Dunn as the principal of Pleasant Run Middle School. Eric has been an administrator in Northwest Local for the past 10 years as both an assistant principal at Northwest High and most recently as the principal of Pleasant Run Elementary. After graduating from Northwest High School, yay, another hometown boy. Eric earned his bachelor's degree in integrated social studies education from Miami University and a master's in educational leadership from the University of Cincinnati. Eric is supported by his wife, Amanda, and his 2 sons, Eli and Aaron. Please welcome, and please help me welcome Eric to his new role. And as soon as he arrives, we will make sure that we embarrass him in front of all.
He is stuck in traffic.
He is stuck in traffic.
Okay, there we go. Michael, do you have a legislative update?
Yes, I have a very brief one, and this is a tough act to follow with the introduction of our new principals. But the budget bill continues to work its way through the House. They've held hearings last week. We'll hold hearings this week. Plenty of people testifying, and probably in the next week or so, the House will unveil its kind of substitute version of the bill after they've heard from various stakeholders, and we'll see what's in there. Hopefully I'll be able to report on that at our next meeting on the 20th.
We do not have a Butler Tech update, so we're going to move right into the principal's report. Colerain High School, Jack?
We're going to have to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Come on in. The price is right.
Eric, we already introduced you, so I will redo it so we can meet you and your family. That's okay? Northwest Local School District would like to welcome Eric Dunn as the principal of Pleasant Run Middle School. Eric has been an administrator in Northwest Local for the past 10 years as both an assistant principal at Northwest High and most recently as the principal at Pleasant Run Elementary. After graduating from Northwest High School, Eric earned his bachelor's degree in integrated social studies education from Miami University and a master's in educational leadership from the University of Cincinnati. Eric is supported by his wife Amanda and his 2 sons, Eli and Aaron. Please join me in welcoming Eric to his new role.
Thank you, Eric. And we apologize, 9 out of 10 times, we wouldn't even be to that part of the meeting yet. It just so happened we had a meeting last Monday, so this meeting's kind of going a lot quicker than normal. So we want to congratulate both of you. We are all very excited with your new positions. So now we'll turn it over to Jack Fisher.
Appreciate it. Good evening. Thank you for inviting us tonight. Casey, I want to congratulate you and Eric. Casey, it's your name on the report card now, so congratulations. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be principal of Colerain High School. We've taken a team approach tonight. These guys are very valuable. They're a great team, so I'm blessed to have been put in a situation to get to work with them. We spent a lot of time talking about what our presentation would be. Quite frankly, we're in March now, so to talk about data that we had in August, we're going to mention some things about it. It's not great, so we're going to focus on a lot of the things that we've done already this year and we'll do in the future to improve it. Spent a lot of time. This has been a big role of mine, quite frankly, this year. This is important that I feel like we create a climate, and they were very welcoming to me, so we have a great staff. And so we're trying to create a climate where all staff feel valued and appreciated. We've spent a lot of time working on building effective teams, and you'll see the evidence of some of that. We're trying to create a sense of consistency. And these are some staff that I think, or these are some stats that I think prove, I don't make excuses for where we are in terms of data and things like that, but certainly there are things that make a difference. We have over 20 new staff just this year. We have over 50 new staff that have been in the building 3 years or less. And so we're trying to build some consistency. We're trying to build some procedures and logistics of how we do things that will create the type of climate we want. And obviously, accountability is a big thing for all of us. OTES has helped us this year, I think, with teacher evaluations. And so we've spent a lot of time talking and working on that. Obviously, we're evaluating 92 teachers. And so a lot of classroom observations, a lot of time spent in the classroom by the administration. Our building goal for this year, based on the data, was that we will improve our passing rates on the AIR test, both ELA 1, 2, as well as Algebra 1 and Geometry. The data, as I mentioned, it is what it is. We don't make excuses for it. We just talked about how we're going to improve it this year. And so we were 39.1 proficient on ELA 1, the Language Arts 2, we were 42.5. Algebra, obviously we need a lot of work there, and Geometry. Biology, we did a whole lot better in biology, and then the social studies, you can see we got the indicators in both American history and government. And so teachers did a great job in those areas, not far off from the science indicator. So that's something, if we improve some, we should be able to get those indicators. Through this in here, we had a lot of conversation. There's been a lot of conversation all over the county, all over the state, quite frankly, about the future graduation. So we put this slide in to show one of the big things we'll be working on is this year's juniors, next year's seniors. There are schools, there's been articles written in the Enquirer as well as all over the state in terms of people that are worried with the 18 points and how many of their kids that are currently underclassmen will graduate. And so we threw this slide in here just to kind of warn of what's ahead. We're doing much better than many schools, but yet we have a number of kids that are below the standard. So our current juniors, 411 non-special ed students, 209 have already got the 18 points qualified for graduation. We have many that are within 4 points. Obviously, they're taking government this year. We hope that most of them get it, but we have a lot, and it cut off the bottom, but there's 3 students, I think, that have less than 4 points, and we have 73 that are in the 7 to 13. And so we've got a lot of work to do with our current juniors to get them where we want to be, so that we're not back in the nightmare days of when OGT's testing first started and high schools were dealing with kids that could not graduate because of the test. And so that's where a lot of our focus will be. We're doing several things in order to keep this presentation time-wise. I'll be happy to share some of those things with you. We certainly have a lot of ideas dealing with juniors. These are some of our interventions. We've got a few kids taking OGT this month, and then we kick into air and then AP testing. We're offering an ACT class next year. We'll have OGT and air support this year. We'll have boot camps. We've got a lot of things. We've got kids staying after school right now. We've got teachers working with kids on their plan bell and doing some things there to try to up our test. RTI, Aaron will speak a little bit to that. But we need to intervene with more and more kids every year, so that's a huge focus. I'm going to turn it over to Laura to talk about math. Yep, that's it.
All right. So Jack had kind of touched upon the idea of our math scores were, I don't know if I say pathetic. They weren't real good. So that's been a main goal of mine this school year. Having taught math for 11 or 12 years prior to being an administrator, I feel like I've kind of maybe got some good ideas to share. But this year we really focused more on collaboration. When I came in and just started talking to the math teachers, it was very much, well, this person's in this classroom doing their own thing, and this person's in this classroom doing their own thing. And I just found we weren't on the same page at all. So the main focus, like I said, was collaboration, actually having the teachers sit down with one another and start talking about, well, here's what I'm doing, here's what works. You know, this doesn't work in my room, can you give me some tips? So we talked about all their professional goals for math and geometry that they wrote at the beginning of the school year had to do something around, centered around that building goal of improving test scores. So the teachers sat down, we went through some of their data from last year. And Algebra 1 and Geometry teachers are now meeting as a cohort. We meet once a week. We go through, we create common assessments. We talk about interventions that we can have in place. And a great thing that we have this year is a math tutor who, she's head over heels. She came in being a math tutor for the entire school day. We the first couple days of school, we threw a wrench in her plan and we said, we need you to teach 3 bells now. So not only is she a half-time teacher, she's also a tutor. So she is working out great. The teachers love her. Okay, so in terms of, and I know Jack had mentioned a boot camp, math teachers are spending 2 full weeks prior to air testing this year. They've kind of divided up, divide and conquer, I guess, with different review things. They're all creating lessons. So the picture is that during those 2 weeks, I can walk into any math teacher's classroom and see that all Algebra 1 students are reviewing this topic. So they're doing a great job separating that, and the teachers, like I said, have been very willing to do whatever they can. So just some future adaptations to what we're looking for math instruction. This year, at the very beginning of the year, like I said, we had to add a couple math courses. We moved some students around. We knew placement was not real accurate. So we were able to address that in the beginning of the school year. A big change for us next year is that our Algebra 1, students will have the opportunity to take Algebra 1 in 2 years. So they'll take it like an Algebra 1A, their first 9th grade year, and an Algebra 1B, their 10th grade year. We envision them taking their Algebra 1 air test at the end of their sophomore year. So that gives them 2 years to prep. We will also still offer a 1-year Algebra 1 course, but we're working through some strict guidelines as to where we should place those students so we can best serve all of their needs.
As Jack said, I'm going to talk a little bit about project teams. So this is something that we've really tried to initiate as a way for our staff members to get buy-in in finding a project that they're really interested in. Within this, we've created a couple leaders, so we're really trying to pull those teachers who are our up-and-coming leaders and really give them a voice to these different projects that they've selected. So you kind of see the goal of our project teams as well as the purpose, so to allow staff to collaborate on big projects, small projects, all sorts of things around the building, and then again to develop the leaders within the building. Currently we have 10 different project teams going on. So we have an array, anything from technology to an air project team to facilities. So we're really trying to, like I said, give teachers a choice in what they really believe is something that would be valuable for them to dump their time into and work on. I'm going to quickly go through a couple of or all of the project teams, but in your PowerPoint you have a better description of what each one, a purpose, and then the next steps that they're kind of following. The first one is ACT Prep. So they're focusing on juniors. As you know, in March, the 21st, later this month, all of our juniors are going to be taking the ACT, so they're really focusing on that now. Their next steps are going to be to gather more resources, create games, create a video that they're going to share an advisory to kind of go over the ACT and testing strategies. The next one is the advisory project team. They're currently looking for ways to support teachers during that advisory time. We have advisory every day, and it couldn't be just a random teacher. Obviously, they could possibly have that person as a teacher throughout the day, but it could be someone that they only see for advisory, so it's kind of building that connection. They keep that advisor for all 4 years, and that's the person that reads their name at graduation. So that's the advisory project team, and some next steps for them include planning different activities. The next extended advisory coming up is on May 5th, so right now they're currently working on that. For the AIR project team, like we've talked about, the AIR tests are coming up, so they're really trying to hit home on ways to increase student achievement on the AIR test. The next steps for them is planning a few incentive ideas. They're talking about staff t-shirts and posters to really show the kids that we have buy-in and do well on these tests coming up. The attendance project team is currently seeking out and analyzing data to develop and evaluate ideas on ways to increase attendance and get a better response from students. Some of their next steps are to review the attendance data and figure out some possible solutions. They're interested in surveying the staff to kind of get a whole group sense of as a building, what do we think would do to improve that area. Cards for Character, or Cards with Character, excuse me, is our PBS project team. So they're currently focusing on ways to incorporate that PBS throughout the day. Their next steps include creating a card that they can give individuals in the hallway when they find a student showing great character, and then as well as seeking out donations, different things that we can reward the kids on and keep going on in that behavior to build this program. The Facilities Project team is working towards improving communication between staff and administration on what's going on. So one of the projects I believe they're working on is getting more lighting in the back parking lot. It can go anywhere from that to what's the best way to reserve certain areas of the building. The next step is for them to identify exactly what the concerns would be and then prioritize them as a group. The grade policy team is working to explore grading policies and procedures to assist the staff with changes. Their next step is going to try and plan a proposal to help that late work and kind of create a policy for that. They're going to look at doing that in the upcoming year here. The RTI project team, like Jack said, this is something we're really trying to focus on. We've been working with Heidi the past couple of years to try and get something consistent among the school and find something that works for our current schedule. Our next steps for the project team is to build in interventions through our current bell schedule that we have, as well as we're in the process of getting ready to survey the staff so that we can get a better idea of those members that have seen it over multiple years, what have you liked in the past that's worked, and then other members who are new to our building, since we have so many new staff members, what have they seen in other buildings that they could bring to Colerain. And then finally, student involvement project team, they're working on ways to increase student involvement. They feel that definitely, as we all know, helps the student to become a holistic student and to increase the student performance all the way around. So the next step for them to gather information about the current status of student involvement and brainstorm possible strategies to increase that involvement. I know there's possible concerns with students having rides to get home, but what are ways that we can increase that involvement during the school day and different activities as well as after school? And then the technology project team is working on ways to support the rest of the staff as they learn to integrate technology in their courses. Their next steps also include to survey the staff as well as get any suggestions on hardware, software, and then grant opportunities, and then also to start putting out a digital newsletter each month highlighting the different types of tech tools that are available.
I've got a couple slides to share pertaining mostly to discipline data and then to school safety, some of the initiatives that we've done this year. We've done two major changes this year. One's a district level change with the policy of BYOD, bring your own device. Students can now bring their personal electronic devices, and there's very specific parameters and rules and guidelines for using those. And then at Colerain High School, Jack has introduced something that he's had success with in the past. We call it the red zone. Previously he called it timeout, but it's a chance really for teachers to send a student, instead of sending them to the office, they can get sent to like a cool down section of the ASA room. It really helps de-escalate situations or prevent them from escalating. And kind of talking as a team, we've realized that these changes here, with allowing the kids to use their devices and then also this implementation of red zone, it really limits kids' opportunities where they would turn one mistake into two in the past. And so we've seen a decrease in some of our discipline data that I'll walk you through here in just a second. If you look at similar points in the school year from last year to this year, our expulsions are down by 16%, our suspensions are down by 14%. Our in-school suspensions, our days of ASA, those are actually up a little bit. Our Thursday detentions, we have a 2-hour detention we run after school every Thursday, and then we have our half-hour administrative detentions before and after school. Those are both up, but it kind of reflects our goal and our emphasis on keeping kids in school, keeping them in class, or to kind of be more blunt, butts in seats. And we're trying to raise test scores, improve achievement, and we've got to keep the kids here. So we're trying to get creative in some of the ways we can do that while still holding them accountable as in years past. When we start looking at the different types of infractions that we're seeing, a lot of them are consistent from year to year, but looking at how is the red zone impacting it, why are we seeing drops in some levels of consequences and increases in others. We've seen a decrease in disrespect to staff, disrespect to student, and disruption of school activities. So we're seeing fewer situations where things are escalating. We're seeing, I think, an impact of the Restorative Practices Initiative where there's a little bit of a more respectful climate, and again, in part with de-escalation and giving removing a chance for a kid to turn one mistake into two. We've seen kind of an uptick in like disregard of reasonable direction. Some of that maybe deals with the earbuds or things that go along with the bring your own device. And we've also been really tracking our tardies to class, tardies to school. We're catching kids more and more skipping class, and then the leaving school during school hours or without permission. I've seen a lot of that just with my juniors alone this year. Those numbers are up. And those are typically land you days of in-school suspension. So we've seen those increase along with the increase in the infractions. The last couple slides I want to talk about are pertaining to school safety. Each year we have a required set or gamut of drills we have to run. We do the fire drills, tornado drills, the crisis drills. And we've really worked well with Colerain Township this year to increase what we're doing. We did a lockdown on a staff in-service day where we actually used simulated ammunition. So that there were no students in the building, but the teachers got to hear what it would sound like, kind of react and make decisions accordingly with that dynamic. We also continue to work with the K-9 unit, and Kudo is the dog from Colerain Township. And they've also helped us coordinate full-scale K-9 sweeps in conjunction with other local law enforcement agencies. The last thing I want to talk about is a big change that we've had, and that's how we supervise and run and monitor our varsity home football games. If you recall, in early September, we had a bomb threat called in late in the game against LaSalle. The game was at our place. We debriefed the next week with the Colerain Township Police Department and Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, and they were really complimentary of how we handled that situation. And then that started a conversation, hey, you guys should come down to Paul Brown and see how we do things down there. Walk through the whole game day security procedures from the pregame and then all the way up through the game. And so they invited Jack, myself, Chris went down with us, Chris McKee, and then Casey was there, and then Brad Watkins from Northwest as well. So we got to go through the entire pregame security briefing process. Started with a 10:30 meeting. You had Cincinnati Police, Hamilton County Sheriffs, Joint Terrorism Task Force, Kentucky State Police. I mean, everybody's in a meeting room down there, and it was fascinating to see them go through this. Then we were in a very small meeting with the lead official and reps from the NFL and both teams. And then we took a pregame tour on some golf carts as fans were entering the stadium from all the different gates, and you got to see all the different things and security checkpoints and policies and procedures in place there. And we also got to spend some time in the command center. That got cut off down here, but you could see their control room, communication center, cameras, and everything else. So what we did was we started saying, how can we right-size this for Colerain High School? If we've got 7,000 or 8,000 people on our campus on a Friday night, what can we take away from this, and how can we make it meaningful for us? And so beginning with our next big home game with Mason on Friday the 30th, at 4:30 we started doing walkthroughs, visual sweeps of the stadium, both sides of the bleachers, checking around the track and all points in the stadium. At 5:30 we run a pregame briefing in our administrative conference room. We have all the officers there who will be on site, from Colerain Police, from Hamilton County Sheriffs. Colerain Township Fire now joins us for those. Also, all of our administrative team is in there. We also go through, there's a map of the campus, and we list all the different posts. Who was where before the game, who was where during the game, who was where after the game. We exchange contact information. We confirm all the radio frequencies that we are going to use that night, and we go over again who's in what position. Then at 6 o'clock, we would meet with the officiating crew. They really appreciate this. They don't need to know, how many cops are where and everything like that, but they appreciate knowing, okay, if something happens, if we have to clear the field, who do you look for, where are they going to be, what are we going to do? And so they really do appreciate that. We also invite the visiting school administrator to that meeting as well. And then we also have a plainclothes officer who's now with binoculars on top of the press box. And we also turn the soccer stadium lights on, so we have some extra lighting on that side of our campus. And also, the Colerain Boosters purchased 2 golf carts for us, so we're able to use those during football games. The ranking deputy for each game has access to a golf cart and patrols the lot, all the different parking areas, both buildings and things like that. And then we keep another one field level in case we need that. So all those things kind of came out from kind of a stressful situation early in the year, but we really feel like we've done a good job and have made some improvements there. And we've shared this also with our district crisis team, all the building principals at the other elementary schools and middle schools in Northwest. And something as simple as an elementary school concert or a middle school play. You can't just open the doors anymore. You have to be more vigilant, more proactive, and checking things, having a plan, communicating with the staff that you have on site. And so we've tried to filter that through everything that we do. So, Jack.
Appreciate the opportunity to present. I want to thank Stacy Tepe, our booster president. I've been blessed. I've had great support since I've walked through the door. Carrie Rovers was trying to be here tonight. I know something came up for her, but the boosters and the PTA and all the other groups have been extremely supportive. So I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be able to work with these guys. So it's been great. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Jack,
Stacy.
I got a question. Laura, I just have it on the math scores. What were we doing that we did so poorly on that?
Well, when we went back and we looked at breaking down the released test items, what we found was the rigor in the classroom that we were working with was nowhere near the standard that the AIR test requires of students. So that's where we kind of went in, and the common assessments, we've been able to build much more rigorous questions. It's funny, I talked to a student the other day. They were in my office and they said, why do you have a math test? A copy of the math test. I said, because I write them. And they looked at me and they were like, you're kidding. And I said, yeah, why? They're so hard. Well, that's the purpose, and the teacher then can go back and have good discussion in the class.
Right.
And we've had good discussion together. Why did the student miss this? What could we have done differently? Like, why did the student choose B over D? So I think narrowing the focus on the rigor, I'm hoping is what's going to help us this year.
I noticed that you said that Honor Society tutors 4 days a week before and after school. How many kids take advantage of that?
I think there's a fair amount. They don't have to have an appointment, so it's kind of nice. There's just some tutors there before and after school. But if I didn't finish my math homework the night before because it was failing me really hard, then I can just pop in Wednesday morning and I can get some are there times where there's pockets that it picks up?
So is it one of those things, are the teachers encouraging the students that are struggling, hey, you can come in before and after school
Yes.
for extra help?
A lot of our teachers suggest that, and then as for RCI, one of our interventions, if I'm an advisor and Laura's struggling, then I have a little flyer already with me and says, all right, here you go, don't forget you can go to Miss Joseph's room 352 for an after school. So we try and build it in a couple different places.
Great.
I have a question on the class of 2018 and the graduation points. How many students is it possible that they will end up with one of the alternative pathways to graduation, the industry credential, or a remediation score on the ACT?
Early to tell. I mean, we just started going through this data a couple of weeks ago. And so it's early to tell. The alternate pathway usually is very few because, I mean, I hate to be blunt, but a lot of times if you're not passing those tests, you're not doing well in the classroom to get the required GPA or classroom average to go that route. But
Or the ACT score, yes.
Right, or it could be ACT score, right, a college ready score. Early to tell, I have no problem getting you those numbers as we get them. If I can go back to the math for 1 second, and again, I'm not into making excuses, it is what it is, but Park 2 years ago, Air last year, and we're still, in fact, this was talked about in BLT, we had a BLT meeting after school, still very few materials, practice materials released by the state that even gives you more of an idea of what's going to be on the test. I mean, so we still feel like we're a little bit shooting in the dark in terms of guessing what's going to be on the air test because the state's released very few materials. With OGT, you could get every year's practice test, you could by subject, by whatever, and so we're teaching the standards, obviously, and as Laura mentioned, a lot more rigor, trying to challenge kids more, but we're still shooting in a bullseye that we feel like at times moves.
To touch base on Joe and the discipline, one, it's sad that this is the world we live in today, but very impressive of what all goes into prior to a football game or a music concert or whatever. I don't think the average person, the parent out there has any idea how you're going above and beyond to make sure everybody's safe. So just wanted to thank you for that. Really impressed with the Bengals opening that up to give you the opportunity to go down there and Northwest as well.
Hey, Joe, I got one question for you. On your attendance, are those numbers up because you're tracking them more this year?
A little bit. We've always been tracking the attendance, obviously, legally we have to, but in terms of how that filters down to the disciplinary level, getting referrals written, getting a process, getting the kids taken care of with discipline. Switching to online referrals this year has helped a lot with that too.
Thanks.
If I could interrupt, Stacy Tepe, could you please stand up? The whole purpose of bringing PTA and boosters here is so we can recognize you. It's not just to say thanks for all you do. We do appreciate as a board and a central office staff for everything you do. There's a lot involved in being a booster president. Your time is also given to us through coaching, which we greatly appreciate. Her daughter also made it to state, as I think most of you are aware. But is there anything you would like to talk about that you're proud that the Boosters has done for Colerain High School, or just anything you want to say? Because we do appreciate your partnership.
Well, I was a little bit more prepared.
Oh, we know you're.
Came straight from school. No, I mean, we try and do as much as we can. We're proud that we can update facilities and, give kids different opportunities. And I'm thankful that Jack is there, and I think he's doing a great job, and we're excited to have him. And thank you. Oh, Monte Carlo. Yeah, come to Monte Carlo. Friday night at receptions in Western Hills. It'll be fun.
Great, thank you. And then while I have the mic, not to interrupt, it is your meeting. Pauletta, could you make sure you get pictures of the family, of the Schurs and the Dunns, so we can put them on the website? And then, thank you.
I can make one comment about the hearing that you asked about our magistrate in the Rosemary Court is also now proceeding to mandate students to study back tutoring to catch up with the work that's done differently. So when she mandates that and they come back and not follow through with the plan,
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll move into reports from employee organization. Do I have anything for certificated or licensed? Classified employees?
Yes, at this time, I'd like to introduce Terry Williams, Supervisor of the Transportation Department.
This being the first time that we've presented here, I want to thank you for the opportunity to do so. We're going to present 2 awards to Driver of the Month, but before I do, I'd like to introduce our staff. If you guys would come up here.
No, yeah, come on.
Who's behind the scenes? Terry Williams, the Transportation Director. Got 24 years in transportation industry and have served in many roles, including routing and management, several different districts. Also served as the Southwest Regional Director of OAPT for 7 years. Barb Barnaclough is our assistant supervisor. Barb served 22 years in the transportation industry, starting as a driver, certified onboard instructor, certified by the state of Ohio, and assistant supervisor at another local school. Melanie Smith has been with Northwest Local Schools for 22 years, 13 years as transportation secretary, and 9 years as transportation coordinator. Joyce Griffiths, who recently joined us, brings 8 years of transportation experience in many aspects of the industry, including being a driver, state certified OBI instructor, and performed duties of the assistant general manager for another local school district. Christina King, who's our secretary. Christina has 20 years of experience in secretarial field and 15 years working with youth. Takes a lot to keep the department on the road. We are staffed with very skilled drivers and mechanics who go through vigorous training to assure that everyone is safe, and the transportation department has 75 drivers, 75 routes, 98 drivers and aides, 5 mechanics, and 5 office staff. Our buses travel over 4,600 miles and safely transport 4,400 students to and from school each day. Over 63,000 miles are driven annually for athletic and field trips. Our buses use over 172,000 gallons of fuel per year, costing $265,000 annually. Employee of the Month. Congratulations to Patty Even. Patty comes to us and has been an employee of Northwest School District for 36 years. She also resides in Northwest School District, is a 1973 graduate, without telling her age, of Colerain High School. Her 2 children also graduated from Colerain High School. And I first met Patty. I said, Patty, how long did you work at IGA? While she was working here, if those of you who are longtime residents of Colerain area know that there used to be an IGA grocery store down the street here. Patty worked there for 15 years, and every time I go in there, she'd be in a different spot. She'd be behind the meat counter, be at the manager's booth, she'd be running the cash register, and she was a very valuable employee to them as she is to us. And we want to congratulate Patty Even for being our first. She helps tremendously, and she always comes in, needing help this morning, what can I do to help? How are we looking? And I really appreciate that. Our next employee of the month is Ernie Murray, bus 56. He's been with the district for 7 years. Ernie is a driver that found our lost student earlier this year. Maybe you didn't hear, but we had a student that was lost. I got a call from some drivers who had come back from their intervention program, taking kids home from the high schools. And there was a parent at this bus garage looking for a student. Was a friend of a parent, actually. And they called me and they said, we're looking for a so-and-so student. We're looking through the buses. I left my house, came to the lot, looked up what the student bus that the student may have been riding that evening. We looked through all the buses twice. By the time I got there, this person was gone. I called the police department. They told me who it was and who they were looking for. It was getting very late. It was approaching 7 p.m. I found out that this individual student rode bus 56, and I called Ernie at home and I said, Ernie, did so-and-so ride the bus? Yes, she did. And I said, well, she's not home. You let her off the regular stop? Yes, I did. And he said, Terry, but she got off with a friend, and they walked off together. And he said, she probably just went out with that friend. And I said, okay. So I drove around the blocks, and after we went through all the buses twice, 100 buses, went through all the buses twice looking for the students. I drove around the neighborhood trying to find her, and pulled up in the neighborhood where there were several police cars, several frantic neighborhood parents. And as I got out of my car, I got a call from Ernie. He said, Terry, I found her. I'm like, what? He said, I found her. She's in the backyard covered in mud playing with her friend that she walked home from school with. She never went home. She never called parents. But Ernie knew where she was. He left his house in Fairfield, drove down here, found her, and the police went to that resident, and she was just playing in the backyard. So we really appreciate Ernie for doing that. Ernie is retired from GM Corvette plant in Bowling Green, Kentucky. He has been a professional gospel singer for 20 years. His wife, 2 sons, and their wives make up the Murray Family Gospel Singing Group. Ernie, we're thanking you very much for your dedication to the He said he still has tachycardia from that event. But we do appreciate it.
By the way, I was still in high school when that happened. And one other question, just since we got these pictures come down out of the post office.
We appreciate it. Yeah, and we designed their own personal service tumbler that's on order, and you'll be getting one of those from the. It's got pictures of the school bus and employee of the month on it. We appreciate you guys very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Congratulations to both of you.
You're now both on Twitter.
Do we have any reports from school-related organizations? I have not received any requests for community comments. So, Todd?
Yes.
The first item under superintendent's consent items is certificated licensed personnel, retirements and resignations. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated licensed personnel retirements and resignations as listed.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a classified personnel item. It is classified retirements and resignations. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified retirements and resignations as listed.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded on classified retirements and resignations. Any questions? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is a general business item, Struble Elementary easement resolution. In connection with the construction project, new water mains must be constructed on property owned by the school district. In order to access the project, the Greater Cincinnati Waterworks has requested that easements be granted. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the resolution authorizing the granting of water main easements in connection with construction of the new elementary school on the Struble property and authorizing the president and the treasurer to enter into said easements upon compliance with all conditions precedent related thereto.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments regarding this Struble Elementary easement resolution?
Is this something that was already known, that would be an issue when we were setting prices and GMP and everything?
Chris?
Yeah, that really doesn't have anything to do with the bond. It's basically so that they have access to their utility line.
Okay, but the fact that we had to put new water mains in, was that built into the?
Yes.
That was
That
built
part
in,
we did,
okay.
Anybody else? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is vendor contracts. In compliance with ORC 3313.33, attached is a list of vendor contracts requiring board approval. The superintendent and treasurer recommend the Board of Education approve the vendor contracts as listed.
So moved. Second?
Moved and seconded on vendor contracts. Any questions? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a certificated licensed personnel item. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated licensed personnel items as listed.
So moved. Second?
Moved and seconded on certificated licensed personnel items. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is classified personnel items. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments regarding classified personnel items? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is miscellaneous. It is Neola Board Policy Revisions. We have been very busy as an AO team looking over every policy we have, working with Neola. So this is information only to look at policies under consideration. And it is all listed through an email website that I have sent out to you. Plus, they're all listed as attachments. So we will bring this back for action at the March 20th board meeting. All right, for the superintendent's update, just want to let everybody know that Houston Early Childhood Center will be closed tomorrow. We have approximately 35 to 40% of their staff out sick. We had about 12% of their kids out. It has been ongoing, so we are going to take the day, thoroughly clean the building, make sure we wipe everything down. The little ones are just hard to get them to understand everything they need to do and not put things in their mouths, so we'll clean everything that's in the classrooms. Chris has got everything ready to go, but we are closed tomorrow just because of illness, if somebody would ask. We are not putting it on the TV. We have done a robocall that calls all parents who are enrolled. We didn't want miscommunication or somebody seeing something and be confused because it says Northwest Local School District. Just the preschool, yes. I believe that's what I said. Jeff Miltz and Colerain Township have submitted our first grant opportunity to get assistance with the road improvements that are being required at Banning and Colerain Avenue. So we are doing the state first and then the federal second. We feel really good about what we've submitted for the state. So as soon as we find more out, we'll let you know. But they've been very cooperative and working with us. So this is the estimated $700,000 that we divided with Colerain Township, trying to get all of that reimbursed through the state grant. It is worth a total of $500,000. The federal grant can go even larger. And then tomorrow night is our kickoff levy meeting at the Clippard Building at 6:30. So Clippard Building, if you go down Banning, turn left on Colerain Avenue, it's right next to the gas station on the right. So that's 6:30 tomorrow night. And that's all I have.
Okay. Okay, this is the part of the meeting I see a couple new faces. First of all, just to let you know, we kind of flew through this. This is a pretty quick meeting tonight. Like I said, we had some scheduling conflicts, so we have 2 meetings back to back instead of 2 weeks apart. And we all get the agendas last week, so we have a chance to look over everything, and if we have any questions, we can contact any of the administrators to ask about them ahead of time, so it's not just an automatic, we sit up here and vote. We've all asked and answered questions prior. But at this point in the meeting, this is a time, if there's anybody in the audience has any questions about anything we've talked about tonight, all you have to do is just raise your hand and you can ask the question. So, any questions? Okay. Then with that, we're going to go into board members' comments. We do have an executive session. We will not be making, we won't be taking any vote after that. So after board members' comments, we will go into executive session. You're welcome to stay, but to be honest, nothing's going to happen once we come back except adjourn the meeting. So, Chris?
Pam, just briefly, I wanted to give the board and administrative team some, maybe put it on the table, the naming of the new schools, how we're going to do it. I think certainly all shareholders, stakeholders should be involved in the process. But I think it'd be a fun thing. I know when we named the Northwest High School, I was part of that with my class at Coleraine splitting. And so maybe in the next, give it some thought. I don't know how we do it. Everybody can submit an idea, then we take the top 3 names that maybe we get and we vote. I don't know, but just something we should think of that I think will be a fun, positive thing. And maybe have a target deadline for maybe, Todd, I don't know, November for names pick, would you say?
Yeah, we have a committee that we're putting in place. We wanted to get the administrators in place first, and then we were going to start the naming committee, but it will definitely involve input from the community or surrounding each school.
Okay, do you have a deadline? I mean, just, does it really?
Principals will be named in May.
Okay.
Staff will be divided and know where they're going in August. So once staff and administrators know where they are, then we were going to connect out to the community.
Okay.
So September, October, November.
That'd be good. All right, thanks.
It's funny you brought that up because I had somebody ask me that very question over the weekend about what we were going to name the schools. And so I said there would be a process and that we would be going out into the community before the buildings were finished. That much was clear. So definitely looking forward to that process. It'll be a lot of fun. Also wanted to congratulate the Show Cards for their first place in Lebanon this weekend. So that's it.
Okay, Bob?
And a lot. Jack, thanks to you and your crew for coming tonight and presenting. It's a great presentation.
I don't have any comments.
Okay. I just have a couple things. One, it was very nice to put faces with names with the transportation department. It was very obvious the 2 that got the first awards were just grinning from ear to ear. So that's nice. This is going to become an ongoing thing with them. So I'm glad they were all here. And then just want to wish Northwest High School has 2 athletes that will be moving on to state. They're going to have their send-off Wednesday afternoon. They have a wrestler and a bowler. So I want to wish both of them good luck. And
I think I got the next part.
then I'm going to pause so Chris can type all this out.
The next item is executive session. The board will approve a motion to move into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the motion to move into executive session as listed.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Anything else? As I mentioned, we will come back. The only thing we'll be doing is adjourning. Chris, can you call the roll? Motion passes 5-0. Okay. Thank you.